Saba and Mana stopped in their tracks when they reached the cave. Their eyes grew wide with fear as they saw countless tiny shadow serpents wiggling and hissing near the entrance. The cave, usually so quiet, was now filled with the creepy, slithering sounds. Saba and Mana felt a chill run down their spines. They were scared like never before. The sight of all those tiny shadow serpents made them so scared. They knew they couldn't stay near the cave any longer. Without even thinking, they turned around and dashed away, their legs moving as fast as they could to get far, far away from those creepy, wiggly snakes. As Saba and Mana tried to run away, the tiny shadow serpents noticed them and quickly began slithering toward the lion cubs. The snakes hissed loudly, making Saba and Mana even more frightened. In their panic, they turned to escape, but without realizing it, they ran in different directions. Saba dashed to the left and Mana sprinted to the right, each trying to get away from the chasing snakes on their own separate paths. Saba ran as fast as he could, his heart racing. He didn't realize he was heading straight for a cliff. The tiny shadow serpents were right behind him, hissing loudly. Just as they got close, Saba's paw slipped on the edge. With a gasp, he lost his balance and fell over the cliff, disappearing from sight as the serpents watched from above. Mana saw what happened from a distance and her heart sank. Mana, scared and shaking, saw the tiny shadow serpents still slithering around. She quickly spotted some tall grass nearby and hurried to hide inside, staying as quiet as possible, hoping the snakes wouldn't see her. Mana waited quietly, holding her breath until the tiny shadow serpents were completely out of sight. When she was sure the area was clear, she quickly dashed out of the tall grass and headed straight back home, not stopping until she felt safe. Mana finally made it back home, her heart still pounding from the scare. She rushed to the Lion King and said,
"Papa, we found a cave with tiny shadow snakes. They started chasing us, and Saba ran toward a cliff and fell over the edge. I hid in the tall grass to escape, but I'm really worried about him."
Mana, I'm sorry you had to face such danger. We need to act quickly. First, I'll call all the animals to gather in a safe place and keep watch to protect them. Mana, I need your help to keep the other animals safe. Meanwhile, I'll lead a group of strong animals to track down the tiny shadow serpents and search for Saba. We must find him and make sure he's safe.
The Lion King quickly gathered some strong animals and asked Mana to help protect the other animals. He took the rest of the powerful animals to track down the shadow serpents and search for Saba. With their task set, everyone began their important work to keep everyone safe and find Saba. The Lion King and the strong animals went to the caves, hoping to find the shadow serpents. But when they arrived, the caves were empty. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a swarm of tiny shadow serpents. The little serpents attacked quickly, hissing and striking, catching the Lion King and his friends by surprise. As the Lion King and the strong animals fought bravely against the tiny shadow serpents, a new danger appeared. From the shadows, a huge, menacing shadow serpent emerged, looming over them with a fearsome gaze. The battle was far from over, and the real challenge had just begun. Mana waited and waited, hoping the Lion King and his friends would return. But after 2 long days with no sign of them, worry filled her heart. Determined to find out what happened, Mana gathered a few strong animals and headed toward the cave where the battle had taken place. When they arrived, they were met with a heartbreaking sight. The ground was scattered with the bodies of tiny shadow serpents, and among them lay the Lion King and his brave friends. No one had survived the fierce battle. Mana's heart sank with sorrow as she realized the full extent of the loss. With a heavy heart, Mana returned to the forest. The news of the Lion King's fate spread quickly, and the entire kingdom mourned the loss of their leader. After a few days of sadness, the animals came together and made a decision. They declared Mana as their new princess. Despite her grief, Mana accepted the responsibility, knowing that she had to be strong for her friends and family. With the help of wise and strong animals, Mana began to rule the forest, determined to honor the Lion King's legacy. She led with courage and wisdom, guiding the animals through difficult times and ensuring the safety and harmony of their home.